Well, here we are. It is Friday, November 4th, 2022. And this is the weekly video. Many of you know we do this every Friday when we update the newsletter page on bitamount.com. And in a few hours, all of you, if you haven't gotten it already, you get a notification that the page has been updated and the new video is up. If you haven't subscribed yet, I haven't said this in a long time, but if you're watching these videos and you haven't subscribed to the newsletter page yet, keep in mind that it notifies you when we upload the weekly video as well. And you can sign up for it for free over on the newsletter page. There's a sign up box right there. That's completely free. It says it's not the same as the global member pages we charge for, but this is something we've done for free since we started the site. And we've got, I don't know, thousands of subscribers. There's a lot of people on there, and they get all the emails that we send out and so forth. So if you want to get that, do it. The other thing I wanted to mention, because a number of people I've noticed in the comments, if you're watching these videos and you're not familiar with it, in the comment section, a number of people have been saying they have objects they'd like to get some help with. Well, I get a lot of inquiries every week from people, and how we do it is we do charge a modest fee for it, and you actually get a mini video back explaining what your item is with the object. You just come over here to the home page and click this button here, the IDA, Identification Assistant. You upload your images and ask any questions, include your dimensions, and we'll take a look at it for you and get it back to you. If you are looking at something in an auction, use the preview assistant, auction for auction previewing. Send us the links, we'll check out the item, and we'll tell you what we think of it, whether you should buy it or not, and try to give you some rough idea on what it's worth, just so you know. I haven't said that in a long time, and I realize that people keep asking, and it dawned on me that maybe some people watch the videos that aren't familiar with the site that much, so that'll clarify that. Now, what's been going on? Lots been going on. The weekly, the separate video for the global pages is already up. It's over here. That's the one we do for that. It's a private video we do every week, sort of on what inside news and what's going on in the pages. And as I said a couple of weeks ago on the global pages, we've had to add a second page because there was so much stuff. The pages refused to load. We had so much stuff on there. At any rate, this is the U.S. page. The bottom sale took place this week. The one over in London, they had a bunch of online sales and they had some catalog sales, and they had pretty mixed results. The cover lot for the sale didn't sell, unfortunately for them, and they had sort of mixed results. I haven't added up how well they did, but it looks like they had a buy-in rate of maybe 30 or so percent, 40%. I think Bonhams is struggling a little these days because it seems like they're taking higher estimates. We talked about this many times before, that if you're selling it at an auction, shy away from heavy estimates. If the auction house wants your business, they'll work to sell it, but big estimates can cause big failures because it scares people away. Think of it, put yourself if you're consigning it at an auction, put yourself in the mindset of the buyer. How do you approach an auction when you go to buy? If you see sky-high crazy estimates, what do? You say, oh, forget it. It's some dealer trying to cash out or some greedy collector. The Rosé collection that they sold at Bonhams, I can't say it enough, they nailed it. Low estimates, be smart about it, don't cause buy-ins. And I think that's part of the problem that Bonhams is going through right now. They're dealing with a lot of collectors trying to get out of their collections, and they're demanding absurdly high estimates and high reserves, which is you want to kill a sale, put big estimates and reserves on everything, and you'll get creamed. It's just the way it is. All right, now on to this was the Bonham sale that just happened yesterday. This finished up yesterday. They had this nice pair of Chinlung Marken period dragon plates. I had a bunch of people ask about these because it was a pair, and you got to be careful when it comes to pairs because sometimes they're both fakes. These were fine. And they actually brought, I told a couple of people to expect they'll bring $25,000 to $30,000, and that's what they brought. I think they were rather heavily underestimated. These green enamel dragon dishes are always popular with collectors, and these were particularly nicely done. Very nice, deep green enamels on the rims, very nicely decorated, very solid decoration, clean, crisp, well done, no wear. There's no wear on the enamels to these at all. You don't see any white areas drifting through or anything like that. Nice and crisp, the way you want them. And the rims all look good. This was a nice pair of plates. I was quite impressed with them. Liked them a lot. So if one of you are the people that inquired about them and you got them, good. And then this, we talked about this jar last week. I thought it was wonderful. Had a big estimate, 40 to 60,000 euros, but it was a big jar. This thing was 21 inches tall, guan jar with deer all over it. And these deer pattern jars are always popular. This was a wonderful example. Very nicely drawn, very densely drawn too, I might add. But the artist did a good job pulling it off. Everything flows nicely. The scale and proportions of all the drawings are good. The shading was excellent, and then it sort of broke up. And he just put at the top. I love the idea of just butterfly and flowers going around the rim, and that's it. He didn't continue the artwork up into the rim. He allowed the rim to break, sort of frame the jar. And then, of course, at the bottom, you have these panels that come up that you've seen on jars since the Yuan dynasty. Very popular. This jar was probably done during the 1 Li period. They were right about that. Let's see, what did it go for? It went for 61,000 plus the premium. So by the time you're all in with this, you were up to about $80,000. But heck of a nice jar. Heck of a nice jar. All right, now what else was there? Oh, I talked about this on the global videos a couple of weeks ago. I pointed it out to some people. I thought this was a nifty piece of cloisonne with the Shao characters and this sort of almost like 1930s Art Deco checkerboard pattern on it. I thought it was great. Very, very innovative for the time. Beautifully done. Looked to be in excellent condition, and did fine. It sold for 42,000 plus the premium. So around, what does that work out to? About $55,000. Wasn't a huge vase, but it was good size. It was 11 inches tall, but nicely done. Nicely done. Good colors, beautiful colors. And then there was a woman who had consigned, somebody who had consigned a lot of the cloisonne to the sale. She had great things. And she had, I think this was part of her collection, was this box with the leaves on top of it. Nicely done. I noticed all of her stuff looked kind of dirty. Maybe it was in a closet for a long time. I don't know. But you see all the dirt up in here. And they didn't clean it one bit for the sale. I think that was probably a good idea. It's not too sparkly. But that'll come up nicely once it's got a new owner and they get it over to their cleaner and have it just gently get the dirt off of it. It'll shine. This went for $10,000, double its high estimate, plus the 10,000 pounds rather. Plus add on the buyer premium, so you're up around 12,000 for it roughly. 13,000. But nice box. And was this the one? Yeah, Sir Michael from the Lady Oppenheimer. That was it. She died in 1920. She died in 2022. She just died this year, and her husband passed away. Sir Michael Oppenheimer. The third baronet, I might add, died in 2020. They had a collection, all right? They're good people. They had a collection. They collected Chinese art, so even though they're lords and ladies, we still love them. All right, now over to this. This was that gold figure that I talked about last week that I thought was so amazing, and I thought the estimate was very, very low, and it was. And just a beautiful piece. You don't see these gold figures very often. Qianlong period example, superbly cast, set with semi-precious stones, and they gave it this nice little, this looks like a European case they had made for it with velvet. Beautifully done as a presentation. It was estimated 80 to 120,000 pounds, and it ended up going for 425,000 pounds plus premium. So you're up around $600,000 for it. And that was sort of the range we were talking about last week, as I recall. I think we said 5 to 700,000. Well, it came right in at 30% of 425, the buyer's premium. That's a 130,000 plus 4.25. That's almost 165,000, 565,000. You're right up there. But a beautiful thing. Great object. And this was one of the bargains of the week. This was over at Line in Turnbull. I don't know what happened. These were 63 centimeter tall vases. So these are about 24 inches tall. Nicely done. Mid 19th century from what I'm seeing. I don't see any repair or damage to them. Other than there's a leaf, one of the ruffled edges here is missing, I guess. That's nothing. A restorer can fix that in an afternoon for you. And there's a little nick on the other one, but otherwise they look pretty good. Maybe that's a second nick. There's just two nicks on the ruffle rim, which happens a lot to these. But these were 24 inches tall, 25 inches tall, and the pair. Everybody seeing that? $381 for the pair. For the pair. Even damaged, these should have brought $2,000 to $3,000. Seriously, this was. I don't know what happened. Maybe their phones, the internet went out in the middle of the sale. I have no idea what happened. This is like a 1960s price for those two jars, two vases. These were big vases. They needed a small bit of restoration, and somebody snatched them up for nothing. That absolutely mind-boggling. Even if you got to ship them, it's not. You come out, you're still ahead. All right. This was a sale in London, in Edinburgh, rather. Excuse me. And go figure. $381 plus premium for that. And then the transitional vase. They had it listed as Kangxi. To me, this looked transitional. It certainly looks transitional. Very nice little jar. I thought this was wonderful. There was a little paperwork with it, but beautifully potted, nice snow white porcelain under the glaze. It was estimated at just $300 to $500, which is 300 to 500 pounds, which of course was very, very low. And it ended up bringing just a hair under $4,000 with the buyer's premium, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. It may even still be a very, very good deal. How big was this thing? It wasn't that tall. It was like 6 inches or something. They even put the measurements in. I thought they did. It seems to me, yeah, there we go. 6 inches, 15.9 centimeters, which is just a little over 6 inches tall. But a very nice example. Soft decoration, beautifully done. The colors of this piece are very similar to the transitional period pot we saw just in yesterday's video on the Getty auction. There was that very nice transitional period open jar with the ormolu mounts on it. And this is that same palette, very similar, soft blues, nicely detailed, delicately painted, very nice. And this was also at Doyle's. This was they had their sale 2 days ago, and they had all that great Chinese export silver. Many of you, I think, participated, and they had things like this. This very nice. This was probably Wang Hing on this. He didn't say in there, but as I recall last week, we looked and they had it in the descriptions. All right. Okay. I can't read that. But at any rate, it looks like something from the Wang Hing shops. It might have been Wang Hing, and they just didn't put the Wang Hing mark on it too. It sold for $2,500 plus the premium. Beautiful, beautiful piece. He had two of these in the sale, and I think they both brought around the same money. Very, very nice quality. All the silver did well. And then Chinese silver is sort of a growing thing. If you like silver and you like English silver and you like French silver, look at Chinese silver. Chinese silver is, in my opinion, the best Chinese silver is easily on a par with Tiffany silver. Just is. It's that good. It's that good. The Chinese silversmiths, I think, were in the late 19th and early 20th century, were certainly among the best in the world. Fantastic quality. All right, now on to this. This was another one of these Rockefeller pattern dishes that came up. You remember a few weeks. This was at Doyle's. I had a very reasonable estimate, $500 to $700, and ended up going for $950 plus premium. But this is, as we know, we've seen these before. They always do well. There's a big market for these. And this was a particularly nice one. It may have been a bit under the money because the gilding was in such great shape. We talked about the decoration, the way the faces, the women are done. They're so pretty. Absolutely beautiful women and the young boy next to the table and all that. This was a beautiful little Rockefeller dish. And remember a few weeks ago, who was it? Josh Chamberlain, Juice 1499 on eBay. He had a pair of Rockefeller hot water dishes, and they went for, as you may recall, around, I think it was around $5,000 or $6,000. So one plate for $950, I think, is right about there. Right about there. It's fine. And then this fantastic set of these export plates, Kangxi period, a very nice pattern, and it's a stack of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, with these herons or storks and the spotted deer in the center. It's a fairly well-known pattern. It's a pattern that they did. We've seen them before. They turn up periodically. Typically, you only see plates around. I don't think we've seen many platters or teapots and stuff in this pattern, but you do see plates. And the flying birds whisking around the rim are very nice. And I like the yellow spotted deer. He's staring up, sort of wondering what's going on. And this red-headed crane is coming down. And you notice there are little lingbai, little fungi all over the place. And then the sun, of course, in the background and whatnot. Very attractive. This struck a chord with people. And these were 8 3/4 inches. These were not big plates. They sold for $3,250 plus premium. This was at Doyle's. So all in, they came in at about probably $4,400 or so. But really nice plates. They were very nice. And I think they must have been in pretty good shape to do that well. They don't have a condition report on the lot. You could always get it. They get them out pretty quickly at Doyle's. They're pretty good with condition reports, I have to say. And this was a nice set of dishes. And you got 7 of them. You could make a wall. You get a bunch of plate racks and, put them on a wall or in a dining room or, in a big eat-in kitchen. They'd look fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. Or eat off of them if you really want to go for it. Okay, and then over on eBay last week, there were some interesting lots. There wasn't a lot of stuff. As I've said before, it seems like eBay is sort of getting less and less stuff. And then there are a few sellers that come back and put some good-sized sales on there, like Migolari or some of these other guys. But overall, it's tougher and tougher every week to find stuff on here that we could put on the newsletter page and say, yeah, we like this stuff. Because there's so many questionable things on that site right now. It's staggering. I don't know what they're doing. But at any rate, we're going to go through some of the better lots, some of the things that I thought were pretty good. One of them was this. This was a 19th century vase. This was Joni's up in Canada was selling this. A very nice vase, though. 19th century, has a chin lung mark on the bottom, very tightly drawn. And you'll notice it's got the... They did the heaping and piling decoration on this. People are always talking about heaping and piling, saying, well, if it's got heaping and piling, it's got to be authentic. No, it doesn't. They can do heaping and piling today pretty well. They could do it in the 19th century pretty well. It was a result that occurred initially, so you understand, in the Ming Dynasty, when they were applying cobalt, there were times when they applied a little too much cobalt and it would leave a dark dot and sometimes blister the surface. That's heaping and piling. And then eventually they sort of figured it out that they were putting too much cobalt on and this and that. And then people decided they liked it aesthetically. Because the cobalt is pushing through the glaze, it's like being in touch with the potter, I guess. But at any rate, that's what these little dots are. They started putting these dots on to emulate heaping and piling in the 18th, early 19th century. And it's something that they can do, and it doesn't mean anything as far as age goes. All right. What sold this vase was that the drawing was very tight. The drawing was really, really tight on this. These nice roux heads at the top, the Greek key border in the midsection. And if you saw the short we did this week, we actually talk about the Greek key border and the roux heads, if you've been watching the shorts. And then you have these wonderfully elegant phoenixes flying up through it. There's a hole in the bottom. This was drilled. And despite all that, it did well. It brought $4,650. And it was good size. It was 16 or 15 inches? Hold on. There's the bottom of it with that lovely hole in it. Bullseye. And 18 inches tall. Okay, that's right. All right. Usually I remember the dimensions, but I don't always. Getting old. All right, and then over here to this, the stone carving. This looked pretty good. This was how old was this thing? Oh, look at, there's a certificate with it. What do you know? Oh, from Martin Fong. Oh, yeah, there you go. Two bodhisattvas, Northern Qi Dynasty, 557. Yeah, around there. Around there. Could be a little early, could be a little later too, but not by much. It's a sort of a primitive one. This wasn't a fancy one in its day, but it's a good one. It looks perfectly legitimate from what I'm seeing. And a number of people liked it, and they paid $3,499 for it. And that's about what I think there was some of these at Bonham's not long ago. This may have been at Bonham's. I'm not sure. But that seemed to be the price range. All right. And then over here, they also sold this nice little Ming jarlet. Nice little jar. Who says you can't buy a piece of Ming porcelain? There it is. Delicately done like a big guan jar. This is a small jar. It's probably 5 or 6 inches tall. It was sold for $353. Not bad. How tall was it? 4¼ inches. There you go. Nice little jarlet. Jarlets are great to collect because there's so many different varieties and they're never that expensive. So you can build a very interesting academic collection of small Ming jarlets without having to, mortgage your kids' education. All right, and because you can get into that, kind of a mess trying to build a collection, and I don't recommend doing it because I've seen too many people end up having to sell their collections because they've overspent and they've got other things to pay for. So you want to keep that in mind. You got to buy groceries, heat, all that good stuff. Anyway, this Quanzhan decorated jar, square form, script on the back, nicely done. Here's the bottom of it. Looks fine. There's a chip out of that corner, a little chip down here, but other than that, it's okay. At least it wasn't drilled out, huh? And there's the top of it, bit of orange peel in the glaze. This is a late Qing example, but nicely done. Nicely done. Nice colors, nicely painted, very delicately painted. And did they advertise it as Quanzhan ware? No, they really didn't. They called it Famille Rose, which it's really not. It's Quanzhan. But the buyers recognized it, and they ended up spending $2,950 for it. But that is sort of the price they go for. It was good size. It was probably 16 or so inches tall. Is there a dimension in here? No, maybe he's got a ruler. No, you didn't bother. Any rate, most of these are 14 to 18 inches in height. I suspect it's somewhere in there, typically anyway. And this was one of the bargains of the week. Joni's, for some reason, had listed this as Meiji Golden Flambe Crackle Glaze with a phoenix. This was a Chinese vase, and I put it in there, and there was no way for me to point out what it really was, but. This is not a Japanese vase. This is Chinese. And you know it by looking at the foot rim, the little dash of iron oxide around the inside, and the way the phoenix is drawn with the feathers all crisscrossing all over the place. And mostly importantly, these clouds and the roux heads at the bottom. This was a Chinese jar, and it was a very nice one. And I hope one of you bought it. It's late Qing, but beautifully potted. Looks good to me all the way around. And I don't know why they thought it was Japanese. It may be because the Japanese did these bronzes that are sort of similar, with the big necks and then compressed bodies. But occasionally the Chinese did them too. And that is not the bottom of a Chinese pot. It looks like it maybe had been drilled at one point or something there, or is that just the way it was made? I'm not sure. But this is good work, and it's the Japanese didn't make this. Not with all these roux heads and the clouds all over it. That's Chinese. So somebody got it really inexpensively, $413. Good on that. Because it was good size, too. That was the other thing. It was 12 inches tall. This wasn't like a 6-inch vase. This was a good sized jar. And I love the color, the warm cocoa color. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. And then over here to this. This was one of the rarities of the week. And I hope one of you bought this. This was handled apparently by Spink & Sons, which doesn't surprise me. This is carved charcoal, carved anthracite. And we see these every once in a while. The Chinese used them. They carved them like they did ivory and tortoiseshell and other very delicate surfaces. Because believe it or not, coal, anthracite, if carved carefully, is a beautiful medium to carve on. And you can tell by the details how finely it can be done. It can be done as finely as ivory. And this was a box, probably 18th century, beautifully made, And like I said, it was sold by Spinks, who was one of the premier Asian art dealers in the world for a long, 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 long time. And they closed down, I don't know, 30 or so years ago. And I think Christie's bought up all their records and stuff. One of the auction companies, I think, got their records and receipts over the last 100 years because they handled great stuff. They were also bullion dealers, among other things. But this was a fantastic armorial coal box, made between 1780, 1790, 1770, 1780, and possibly a little after 1800, but I don't think so. I think it's older than that. The bottom of it was beautifully polished and finished. That's just good work all the way around. Lovely box. And somebody picked it up, I think, very reasonably, $2,600. This was a good thing. This is a good thing. Very nice. And then the summer robe with the rondelles on it. Very, very pretty. Rondelle robes have a strong following. This was a very pretty robe, a women's robe, a lovely lining, and this was gauze. You can see that they very smartly showed this by putting their hand behind it. Summer robes are made of a gauze fabric so it can breathe and let the humidity out, because parts of China, as you know, are pretty warm and humid, and this is a real luxury item to get to own and wear. To stay cool in the summertime. Then a woman would wear something modest underneath it, a thin white silk, some sort of silk underneath or cotton, to be comfortable but not exposing herself through the sheer finish. But at any rate, this was a beautiful robe, and somebody bought it and they picked it up for $4,600, which is just about right. And then this was a nifty little plate, Kangxi period to Yongchen period, with this sort of almost anwa decorated. It's not anwa, it's underglazed blue, but very, very, very faintly done. You can barely see it. There it is. And on this Kangxi rim. This is not a Yongchen plate, it's a Kangxi plate as far as I can tell. The gilding looks good on it. And it had a hairline in the rim. And that can be soaked out with a commercial grade of hydrogen peroxide. I've talked about that before. And you can get that hairline out of there. It won't get rid of it, but it'll clean it up. There's a line on the back to clean that up, get the dirt out. The blackness you see in hairlines is really just because there's a small crack in there, and every time people touch it, it rubs a little more dirt into that crack. That's just dirt from the air that you see in hairlines. When hairlines become visible in black or brown, it's just because the air has been getting at them and dirt has been getting in there. And that's the hairline right there. It goes like that. So what you want to do is you just want to get some peroxide, soak it out. You may have to take the old repair off and clean it up that way, and it'll make a world of difference. But this is a nice rare pattern in perfect condition. This plate typically sells for somewhere in the high $500 to $700 or $800 range. So if you're not in the position to buy that, here you go, $158. You got one. It just needs to be cleaned up a little, and you have a nice thing for your collection, and it'll display just as well as the $600 example. And then there was this, another dragon robe, late Qing Dynasty. Nicely done, looked good. Looked like the sleeves might have been shortened a little bit, which is typical. They adjusted the lengths of sleeves on Chinese robes all the time. It was very, very common. But the colors look pretty good. The colors also tell me it's a later Qing robe, late 19th, possibly early 20th century. Probably just late Qing. But nicely done, good looking. It looked like it's missing its liner for some reason. I don't know why that is. It may have been badly soiled from sweat and whatnot, and they just took it out. But there you go, and there's the back of it. And there's a little added thing. There's a little extra dragon up here behind the collar, which is kind of cool. And this ended up doing fine. It brought $3,550, which is pretty good for a robe that seems to be without a liner. Now, they called this a summer weight hidden panel robe. I don't know why I don't know. It's not a gauze robe, is it? Oh, it is a gauze robe. Oh, this is also, see, he didn't put his hand behind it, so he couldn't. That also apparently is a gauze robe. Not as pretty as the other one. All right, that's, okay. All right, and it sold for $3,550, but it's apparently this is also a summer robe, but it's hard to tell in the pictures. Perfectly good robe, though. Dragon's nicely done, and it's not over the top. It's very subtly decorated, but still a good-looking piece of silk, or fabric, rather. And then the last thing was this pair of Republican period jars with famila rose flowers and silk balls. This is a popular pattern. I just included it because this is a nice pair of vases for somebody that's looking for something that's hand done, authentic. They're made around probably 1920, maybe 1930s. It's got an old made in China paper label on the bottom and a China stamp, which they had to do after 1895 on a lot of these pieces when they were shipping them out of the country, because it was an international agreement that was arrived at by France, the United States, England, and so forth, where they would stamp country of origin on things. And the Chinese went along with it, and there it is. So if you see that China label, it doesn't mean it's brand new. It means it could be brand new, but generally speaking, it means it was made after 1895 and into the Republic period. That's typically what that means. Not always. It's not a rule, but it's a pretty standard thing, I think. Alrighty, and that sort of covers the week. It's been a good week. Porcelain prices seem to be holding up. Bonhams, I think, had a little bumpy time. They've had a bit of a bumpy time lately with some of their sales, but they've been going through some huge changes, in fairness to them. They've been buying up other companies, trying to get them incorporated into them, and they're expanding, it seems. So, hopefully they'll get their feet under them and sort of get things cooking. All right, that's about it. Have a great week. Subscribe here if you haven't already. We do these videos. We do at least one a week. Usually we do, as a lot of you know, we do a few of them. And as I mentioned, we're putting these shorts out. We're having a lot of fun writing those. Because you got to get a lot in under 60 seconds. But they're kind of fun. We're thinking of topics that might be interesting, and so on. So, and if you want to see the shorts that we've done so far, if you come over to the homepage on the YouTube channel, there's actually a menu there they've added for shorts. That was a hint from them to me that they wanted me to do shorts, I guess. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll try to do do 5 or 6 of them a week, and if people like them, we'll keep doing them. We have because of the subscribers that we've picked up. It's helped out a lot, and we can put some money towards people who help writing the scripts and doing all that sort of thing. So, because I don't know what to say, we get the notes, and my son and some other people, we go over them, and that's how it all works. But we got to pay everybody, of course. We, take care of people. All right. Have a good weekend, and don't forget, you can subscribe to the Global Pages if you want to, and subscribe for free on the newsletter page, and visit the forum, and make comments over there too. Okay. Thanks so much for watching, and see you all next week. Bye-bye.